You took them by surprise when you left. I want you to understand that they never expected for you to leave. Some people have had you in a spiritual hypnotic trance doing whatever it is that they wanted you to do for many, many, many years. Some of you have been caught up in sin for the past few months. The devil has used somebody to pull you outside of the will of God. You were doing things that you promised that you would never do before, and then all of a sudden it was an abrupt change that occurred. You left and they never saw it coming. I want you to understand that you took the enemy by surprise, baby. I want you to know that you had the best escape strategy known to man. I want you to know that your enemy never expected for you to leave because he felt like he had you where he wanted you. Oh, I want you to understand something, that when a man or a woman has an encounter with the Most High, it's something spiritual that occurs in the neurotransmitters in a person's brain. It's like a seed. You get this manna from heaven that begins to awaken you in your consciousness to say things like, why am I putting up with this? Why do I constantly allow somebody to use me? Why is it that I work so hard and see so little because of who I'm connected to? How is it that I sit up and I allow people to misuse and abuse me? You start to rationalize with your circumstances and your situation, and then you finally realize that you have more power over that situation. And I want you to know this today, that they never expected for you to leave. They thought that they had you wrapped up real tight in their web of deceit and lies. They figured that they could always go to family members around you to convince you to stay in a toxic environment that's no longer serving you. They figured the same way that they trapped you and they hooked you in to a cycle to where they benefit, that you will always be there. They felt that if they could use the kids against you, that they could always live off of your finances, off of your resources and your spirit and still treat you bad. They thought that if they just got you hemmed up in sexual immorality, that you would continue to succumb to the desires, to the urge of lust in your flesh. They thought if they could continue to just speak ill of you and continue to point out your flaw, that you will always be so insecure that you would just settle and say, well, this is the best that I can get. They thought that you would always be that way. But I want them to know that God had a new thought. It really ain't a new thought. It's an original thought. And I want you to understand that God has an idea in mind for you. And the reason why you left is because God breathed strategy into your entire being and gave you the courage, the strength, and the posture to stand in your power as a man and a woman of the Most High and say, enough is enough. I've learned my lesson. I know what I like and what I do not like. I know that regardless of age, that I'm worth many, 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 many sparrows. I know that God came down here so that I could have my life and have it more abundantly. I know that I have the power wrapped up inside of my entire being to produce anything after its kind, because it all begins in the state of my mind. I understand that thoughts are seeds and thoughts are things, and whatever I feel, I produce according to the word of God and the will of God for my life. And because I'm standing in my power, I decided to leave that area. I decided to speak life in the valley of dry bones, because I understand that everything I speak begins to rattle and shake and take on a new form. And I am that new form. I am that new person. I am the original that entered into this space and time that the devil thought he could always grab a hold of my timeline. But I heard the Lord say, you took it back when you realized who you were in him. And because you decided to leave, take a full look in the mirror and realize what God created. Because you decided to really give it all up to the power of our Father in heavenly places, baby, you left. I want you to understand that you leaving was never a part of the plan of your enemy. And you took them by surprise. And they're pacing the floor every day, every night. They're wondering, how did you get away? And it was because God will use your enemy as a footstool to develop you, because you were never meant to stay. And until the next video, guys, Peace, because I still be believing in you. Bye now.